Hey everyone, for today's video I'm going to go over some basic physical exams that you can be doing on your dog or cat at home. Now what I'm going to teach you today does not replace what a trained veterinarian would do. They have years of education, experience, so this does not replace what a trained veterinarian would do. But these are just some simple things you can be doing with your pet at home during this extended break to make sure that they are healthy and their well-being is maintained. So today I have joining me, this is Beau. Beau is always eager to volunteer and help out in class. To be quite honest with you, he's just a teacher's pet. Drives the kids crazy. Hopefully he will behave today for us. If he does not behave, he'll probably get in-home suspension. He's gonna really be in the doghouse if he messes up today. As you can see, he's super eager to help out. The first thing I'm going to do is do a basic head-to-toe exam on Beau. So, hi buddy. Okay, he wants his treats. He's just acting for his treats. Sit. No. Sit. No, we're not rolling over. The first thing I'm going to look at is his eyes. Okay. Beau. Sit. First thing I'm going to do is look at his eyes. And so as I look at his eyes, I'm trying to see are they clear or are they cloudy? Are they alert, meaning do they move? Do they watch objects? I'm also making sure that they're not runny as far as like any water or tears coming out or any crud or debris in them. Looking at Beau, his eyes are doing fine. They are clear. There's no abnormal crud or things coming out of his eyes. So good job, Beau. The next thing that I'm gonna look at, oh, thank you. The next thing I'm going to look at are his ears. And so Beau is a golden retriever, and like retrievers or any other dog that have big floppy ears, it's important to make sure that they get air into their ear as well as it's cleaned out. Sometimes they can have a buildup of yeast or gunk in there. So I'm going to look inside of his ear. And I do see that there is a little bit of gunk built up in there. In the next video, I'll teach you about some basic animal grooming you can do at home. So in the next video, we will address his the gunk in his ear, but nothing is red, swollen, or tender. If your dog or cat is not good with you touching their ear, now Beau, since he was a little puppy, I've conditioned him to let me do these exams on him. But if your dog is not at this point, what I would recommend doing is finding a treat and give them a treat as you play with their ears. You can also do that with their paws. So if looking at their paws is difficult, give them something positive to chew on or sniff or lick or play with as you mess with whatever body part is sensitive. What they're gonna do is associate you touching them to something positive. So that's the ears. The next part would be the heart. I'm going to skip that for now. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. I'm going to look at the abdomen of Beau. So, okay, you deserve that. So I'm looking for any abscesses. Come here, bud. Come here. Beau, stay. I'm looking for any abscesses right here, and he has none. I'm also looking at overall body condition. Now, Beau, being a golden retriever, he's a type of breed where if he's at a healthy weight, we should see we should see a discernible line from basically his rib cage up to his back legs. If Beau is overweight, this part might be a little bit more saggy or the line not as defined. Now, it depends on the breed of animal you have. That might be different if we're talking like on bulldogs or other breeds that are more muscular. But Beau is not a muscular breed of dog, and so he should have some definition. He's just tolerating this for treats. Let's see, the next thing that I'm gonna look at are his legs. Okay, Beau, up, up. So I'm gonna look at his legs. Now I'm not gonna get him out and walking at all for us today, but one thing that we look for in the legs is how they track, meaning where his front paws touch. Do his back paws hit relatively the same spot as he walks along? I'm also going to feel along his legs to see if there's any spots on here where he might wince, any sore spots, but he looks to be doing fine. In the next video, we'll talk about caring for their nails and the pads of their feet, so I'm not going to address that in this video. The next thing I'm going to do is look at his lymph nodes. Beau, sit. Can you sit? Good boy. Stay. His lymph nodes are right here, so I'm looking for any abscesses on his lymph nodes. And Beau seems to be checking out just fine. When I say abscesses, really I'm looking for anything out of the ordinary. Is there any sudden change from what your dog or cat normally has? The next thing I'm going to look at is his mouth. So I'm looking at his teeth. I'm looking to see if there's any broken or missing teeth in there. He's not missing any teeth, but I am noticed that he has a little bit of tartar built up in there. So in the next video, I'll address cleaning your animal's teeth. Another thing I'll check for is what's called capillary refill. If you've ever had a bad sunburn, down. All right, I'm gonna give him a treat so he just sits here for a while. Stay. If you've ever had a bad sunburn, maybe you took your fingers on your arm and you pressed it, and then when you release, you notice that the color changes. When we do a capillary refill check on a dog's mouth, that's very similar to what you might do if you have a sunburn. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on the gum. Hello, Beau. Hi. I'm going to press on his gums, and then I'm going to see how quickly it takes the gums to go from the white color when I have pressure back to the original pink or red color. If there's healthy capillary refill, it should be about 2 seconds or less. On him, it won't take very long. All right, sit. Sit. I know. All right, and his timing is just fine. What you might notice with Beau is as I'm sitting here talking to you, he might be rolling over trying to shake. Essentially, I know, I said it. So what he's doing is he knows I have treats, and when he does a command, so like right now he's sitting, if I don't give him the treat right away, his brain goes, okay, the human says sit, I'm not sitting, or I am sitting, but the human is not giving it to me. And so he is going through every single trick he has in his memory to try and figure out what is it gonna take for me to give him a treat. So see how he's shaking now? I never asked for that command, but he now says, okay, if I shake, human will give me a treat. Eventually he'll get to the part where he lays down, he'll roll over, he'll just go through his whole repertoire. That's a pretty normal thing for dogs to do. They're just trying to train us. Let's see, what else do I want you guys to look at? Another thing to keep in mind is the history of your dog or cat. So any medical challenges your animal has had in the past. One thing that happened this last winter was Beau decided, all right, can you stand up, my friend? Good boy. He decided to take all of the plumage from his tail and chew it. No, good try. He chewed it all off of his tail. It was completely bare. And so I'm like, okay, is he bored? What's going on? I took him to the vet. The vet pulled out the file, the history of Beau, and they said exactly 1 year ago from when I brought him in, I brought Beau in for the exact same thing. So they said, okay, based off the history, this is something that happens every year. It's probably allergies. It's not him getting bored. Other things as we look through the history of the dog, we know about Beau has what's called subaortic stenosis. So as I talk about the heart and the respiration rate now, I have to remember that that is part of his medical history. Subaortic stenosis, or SAS as it's referred to, it's a condition that golden retrievers can get. It's not common in the breed, but it's not uncommon for them to get it, if that makes sense. So if you imagine his heart, there are valves in the heart, and on a normal, healthy heart, one that does not have SAS, blood would shoot through it. Think about like a garden hose, water just coming out of a garden hose. On Beau, however, he has a ridge built up on the valve, and so instead of water coming out of a garden hose like normal, it's like someone took their thumb and they put it over the valve. And so now the water shoots out at a really high intensity. And that's what's going on in his heart right now. So even when he's resting like this, his heartbeat will be a little bit elevated because he has that higher pressure. As he got older and physically matured, that ridge built up a little bit, but it stayed about the same. The reason I know that is because we take Beau to the veterinarians at Iowa State University, and they do what's called an echocardiogram. It's like a fancy x-ray, but we can look at how the heart is pumping. Because of that, his history, I know that as I check his heart rate, it might be a little elevated. I also know that if I exercise him too much, he could get to the point where he just dies, like keels over. He's really good about regulating his own heart rate, and so if he gets to that point where he's too tired, like when we play fetch, he just stops. I do not have my stethoscope with me. That's actually in my classroom, which I cannot get to at this point. I should have thought about, before I left for vacation, that I'm probably gonna need my stethoscope to do a YouTube video, but I didn't think that far ahead. Knowing that Beau is a golden retriever, he's considered a large breed, his heart rate needs to be somewhere between 60 and 100 beats per minute. 60 and 100 beats per minute. So how I would check that is if I had the stethoscope on me, I would take Beau, all right, there you go, and I would go find his left front leg, and I would put the stethoscope right behind the left front leg. As I put my hand on it, I can actually feel his heart beating right now. Some people that are trained really well, so veterinarians, they can detect abnormalities in the heart rate. So for example, if Beau had a heart murmur, where there's a slight pause, a heartbeat goes lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. But if you're a trained professional, you can sense a abnormality in that lub-dub, lub-dub, which would lead you to know that there's a heart murmur. That's what Beau has right now. That's actually how we detected his SAS. I know, you're doing a good job. Another thing that I can do with Beau is I can look for his respiration rate. And so I'm gonna watch his nose. I'm not gonna do it on the video because it'll take a while. But as he's laying down or hanging out, I can watch his nose or his abdomen increase or decrease. And that's showing me his breathing rate, his respiration rate. I'm roughly looking for 30 breaths per minute. Can you sit? Good boy. Now, a couple things to keep in mind with breathing rate is if your dog is really excited, their breathing will increase. If they just got back from playing outside or going on a walk, their breathing has increased. So make sure the dog is experiencing low stress and is calm in order to get the most accurate number. Now, Beau is a pretty chill dog. My students will tell you that. I could probably do his breathing rate right now because he's not too excited about anything. He's just bent on staring at this tree. Leave it. Let's see, the next thing that you want to look for is the dog's weight. Now, I don't have a scale here. I have one at home that I can use for Beau, but based off of his last checkup, I know that Beau weighs about 73 to 74 pounds. I went online to the American Kennel Club, akc.org, I believe, and I looked up what the healthy weight range for a golden retriever male is, and the high end of the weight for a male golden retriever is 75 pounds. So I know that Beau is within that healthy range. Oh, see, he's going through his tricks now. I'm not giving him a treat. He's trying to figure out what will it take for me to give him one. I know, I'll give you one later. Another thing that I can tell if Beau is at a good weight is if I look right here, essentially in front of his hips, we are looking for some definition. So instead of him being like straight across the side or like a tube, so if you think about a pit bull or maybe even sometimes boxers, those stronger dogs, they won't have much definition here because they're muscular dogs. Whereas Beau is a retriever, he's on the sporting group or labs as well. They should have some definition right in front of their hips. That'll show you good body condition. Let's see, what else? That's body weight. I know, you really love those treats. Trying to see what else I got for you guys today. That should be about it. I'm gonna post some questions on our Canvas page that you can answer. The next video I do will be some basic at-home animal care. So you might want to check that one out in the next day or so. But in the meantime, Beau is going to keep eating treats. and he is gonna say goodbye. So you wanna say bye, Beau?